guiding us, trusting in His word the way. Thanks to God for guiding us, leading us through Judgment Day.
Good evening, Chris. Good evening, everybody. How are you?
I'm doing well by God's grace. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Chris, can we take a look at Exodus 14, verses 13 and 14?
All right. Exodus 13, right?
No, Exodus 14, verse 13.
Exodus 14, verse 13. And Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of Jehovah, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. Jehovah shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace.
Okay, I'm looking at the word stand still. So when I look at that word, I'm getting words like be still, present yourself, to withstand, hold fast. There are other verses that compare to that. When you look at that, does that jump out at you where the word stand still? Because I'm looking at like Numbers 9:8, Joshua 3:8, 1 Samuel 12:7, where it talks about standing still, 1 Chronicles 11:14, where it talks about to hold yourself. Do you understand what I'm talking about? The word stand still? Does that jump out at you?
Well, the situation here definitely, jumps off the page. It's their flight from Egypt, and they have come to the border of the Red Sea, and the Egyptians are pursuing Pharaoh and the Egyptians, and they're in great danger. They're a company of slaves, and they're not soldiers. And here comes the mightiest army on earth with their tanks, with their chariots and horses, and they can easily trample them and destroy them. And so, God, through Moses, tells them, fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of Jehovah. And spiritually, when we think of standing still, now to stand has much to do with Judgment Day, as the Bible asks the question, it's the day of the wrath of God, who shall stand? In Revelation 6:17. And the Bible tells us that that the unsaved will not stand. In Psalm 1, we read in Psalm 1, verse 5, therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. So the wicked, the ungodly, are unable to stand, but God makes reference to his people who will stand. We all must stand before the judgment seat of Christ. And basically, this is looking at Judgment Day. It's staring it right in the face, and here is everyone involved. Here are the people of God, and we can understand Moses and all Israel to represent all the elect, and here are the enemy and the the armies of Satan pursuing. And it's similar to 2 Chronicles 20. In 2 Chronicles 20, when the enemy armies are coming to fight King Jehoshaphat, and there's 3 armies that are joined together, and they're coming to fight against the people of God. And if we go there in 2 Chronicles 20, here's what the Lord tells the people of Judah through a prophet. He says in 2 Chronicles 20, well, to begin with, Jehoshaphat is praying to God in verse 12, O our God, wilt thou not judge them? For we have no might against this great company that cometh against us. Neither know we what to do, but our eyes are upon thee. Now, this is strange because the army of Judah at this time was over 1 million men. And yet Jehoshaphat's acting like we're helpless, because spiritually it is true. God's people are basically helpless in the world. We're a great multitude, but we're scattered all over the earth. And our great multitude is nothing compared to the forces of the enemy, as there are billions in Satan's kingdom. But here it says in verse 13, and all Judah stood before Jehovah with their little ones, their wives, and their children. Then upon Jahaziel, the son of Zechariah, the son of Benaniah, the son of Jeiel, the son of Mattaniah, a Levite of the sons of Asaph, came the Spirit of Jehovah in the midst of the congregation. And he said, Hearken ye, all Judah, and ye inhabitants of Jerusalem, and thou King Jehoshaphat. Thus saith Jehovah unto you, be not afraid nor dismayed. Exactly what Moses was moved to say, fear not, be not afraid nor dismayed by reason of this great multitude, for the battle is not yours, but God's. Tomorrow go ye down against them. Behold, they come up by the cliff of Ziz, and shall find them at the end of the brook, before the wilderness of Jeruel. Ye shall not need to fight in this battle. Set yourselves, stand ye still, and see the salvation of Jehovah with you. Do you see the similarity with that statement and what's being said back in Exodus? I'll read it again. You shall not need, this verse 17, you shall not need to fight in this battle. Set yourselves, stand ye still, and see the salvation of Jehovah with you, O Judah and Jerusalem. Fear not, nor be dismayed. Tomorrow go out against them, for Jehovah will be with you. And again, no need to fight. No need to fight. God's going to fight. And it's the same situation back here in Exodus 14. Fear ye not, verse 13, stand still, see the salvation of Jehovah, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, you shall see them again no more forever. And that is, it's a statement that really identifies with the final judgment, because it's only at the final judgment that Satan and his kingdom, the enemy forces, will be seen no more forever. It is the end of the rebellion against God, and so in verse 14, Jehovah shall fight for you and shall hold your peace. Notice the similarity. You have no need to fight, the prophet said to Jehoshaphat and the army of Judah. No need to fight. Jehovah will fight for you in the battle, and God did fight in 2 Chronicles 20 in the way that only God understands, but he brought to pass a tremendous victory for Judah as the enemy armies killed one another. Now, in this case, and you see, as we've been trying to think of some billboard ideas, and one idea was put forth to sort of express the division that's taking place in the world, because the billboard would say, why is the world so divided? And it was the image of the parting of the Red Sea. In that image, we have every justification to use that image in relationship to this present time of Judgment Day, a time when God is dividing the people of the world. And that was the case with the armies that killed one another. Why did they kill one another? If you're unified, you don't fight each other and kill one another. They were divided. And in being divided, they end up being destroyed. Here, the waters are divided. God's going to divide the waters of the Red Sea itself. One wall of water on one side and another wall of water on the other side. And the Israelites will go through the dry ground pathway that opens up. They're going to travel across, and behind them is the Egyptians. Now, the Egyptians clearly represent the people of the world, but who does the wall of water represent? We always have to ask that question in the Bible. You know, the Bible is a spiritual book, and if rocks represent things and trees represent things, then we ask the question, well, who does the water represent? And in Revelation 17, we read of Babylon, who is pictured as a woman sitting upon a scarlet-colored beast, full, in verse 3, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And in verse 5, she's identified, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. So Babylon's in view. And a little later on in this chapter, we're told in verse 15, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. The waters are people and nations and multitudes and tongues. Babylon is fallen. Babylon is fallen. It is divided. A house divided cannot stand, and as a result, it will fall. And so at this time, Babylon is fallen, and it's the woman is sitting upon the waters, and the waters are people. So here we come to the Red Sea, and God parts the waters. He divides the waters. So the waters on the left represent people. The waters on the right represent people. The Egyptians behind are people. So we have 3 groups, just like Ammon, Moab, and Mount Seir that came against Judah in 2 Chronicles 20. And now if you're one of the Jews crossing at that time, and incredibly, there was a day in history, a true, actual day in history, when the waters of the Red Sea did part, and the people of Israel were fleeing for their lives, and they were crossing over that sea bottom that was like dry ground. It wasn't muddy or anything. God miraculously caused it to be dry. And what are you to do? Come out of her, my people. Be ye separate. Don't go to the left. Don't go to the right. You'll drown. You won't make it through. And don't go behind. Get thee behind me, Satan. Pharaoh is behind you. Pharaoh, who typifies Satan and his kingdom of this world. Remember the Israelites in the wilderness? They wanted to make a captain and go back to Egypt. Well, there's Egypt right behind. And those that have gone back to the church, which became spiritual Egypt, or back to the world, there it is right there. And yet there's no way to the left, no way to the right, and no way behind. There's only one way to go for the people of God in the day of judgment: forward, press toward the mark of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. We keep going forward, following the leading of the Spirit of God as he reveals the truth of the Word of God, the revelation of his righteous judgment. And and we let God take care of the enemies. We don't fight. Did the Israelites fight the Egyptians in this battle? No. Did Jehoshaphat and Judah fight those three armies? No. God fought in both cases, and the way God fought in this instance was to get his people safely across, and then he collapsed the waters upon the Egyptians. The waters represent people on both sides. So people and another group of people come down upon a third group of people. And it's the same as Ammon and Moab and Mount Seir killing one another. And they are drowned. They are defeated. God has gotten him the victory. And all the true elect people of God are on the other side. And we have been delivered finally, completely, forevermore. And that would be the end of the Battle of Judgment Day. But thank you.
Praise to God for guiding us, trusting in his word the way. Thanks to God for guiding us, leading us through Judgment Day.